graph that shows the uninsured rates. If you want to refer to that, that is a graph that was published in the Puget Sound Business Journal. And it shows the uninsured rates in Washington for 2013 and 2014. And as you can see there, the number of counties that had more than 12 to 14% of uninsured was enormous. I mean, there's dozens of counties that had that high rate of uninsurance. In 2014, the statewide counties that had high rates of uninsurance were down to 2 counties. And so every county in the state, with the exception of Whitman and Kittitas, had uninsured rates that dropped below the 12.6%. So again, kudos to all of the hospitals, and particularly Teresa, who worked really hard to sign up a lot of people here in our district. So we were certainly participating in that effort.
So that really is a reflection of success in the Affordable Care Act.
Correct. Yep. And as I understand it, the states that did not sign up for the Medicaid program are in serious trouble, especially their critical access hospitals. The next thing I'd like to refer you to is a paper called Honoring Choices. And this is an initiative that is a joint venture between the Washington State Hospital Association and the Washington State Medical Association. And if I could, I'll just read a little bit about this. It has to do with the advanced care planning that in most areas is really lacking. And it impacts the patients, it impacts families, and it impacts providers. So I want to just take a minute here to talk about that. And I believe these forms are already on our website, so we are actively promoting this in our community. But the definition of advanced care planning is a reflection on beliefs, goals, values, including religious and cultural beliefs. It includes an understanding of selected possible future situations and choices as far as the decisions that you can make in advance, and discussion of those reflections and choices with those who might need to carry out the plan. So usually that would start with your primary care provider. And in order for an advanced care plan to be successful, it needs to be created, it needs to be specific, it needs to be accurate and understandable, and most importantly, it needs to be available to decision makers. And it must be incorporated into the decisions. It's not just a matter of saying on the patient's part or on any of our part, saying, I don't want to be hooked up to a machine. That is not what this is about. This is about making choices in a whole range of situations where the patient cannot make their own choices. And so the desired outcome of this is to know, to honor a patient's informed plans by creating an effective planning process, creating specific instructions that go to the provider and to their family, and assuring that the plans are incorporated into medical decisions. So we hear from our physicians that oftentimes they're put into positions in a family, stressful situation. So you've got various children trying to make differing decisions for their parent. You've got perhaps a patient that changes their mind. So, it's a real situation, and it's a real opportunity for us as a public hospital district to bring real value to our citizens.
That's why most people should have a durable power for health care and also go through with their physician, a pulse physician's order. And those two things combined should pretty much take care of anything.
That's really important, because a durable power of attorney won't do it. It has to be a durable power of attorney for healthcare, a separate document. That if you don't have that,
That's exactly the title of this. It's called Durable Power of Attorney for Healthcare. That will be on our website. And also the Healthcare Directive. So those two forms are on.
What about the POLTUS?
The POLTUS form you obtained from your physician.
Yeah, I wonder if on our website we might want to discuss that though. As David mentioned, it's very, very important.
It's a private matter between the physician and the patient, and it takes time. And the physician is in the best position to evaluate the patient at that time and to make sure that the exact wishes of the patient are honored.
But until recently, I didn't know that there was such a form or that such a concept existed. I just thought it'd be nice on the website to mention it.
We can include that. We can include that form on there so people would actually know what it is.
Yeah, and of course it has to be filled out by physicians.
It has to be the proper color of green.
Yeah, that's right. And you post it on your front door.
You know, you post it on your refrigerator, or if you're a modest person like many of us, you put it inside the cupboard. Because the medics cannot address the durable power of attorney. That's not a legal document.
And we've talked about this before. It's the Home Equipment Loan Program, and it is the cooperative effort between the Snow Valley Senior Center, the Bridge Disability Ministries, Mount Senior Center, and the hospital district. And essentially, in Snow Valley Senior Center, I mentioned that. Oh, yeah, that was the first step. So the two senior centers, Bridge Ministries and the hospital district, and it is was initiated by our rehab department, and is really taking off. So attached is the press release that we sent out on that, and then a little brochure that explains what that is. But essentially, people can donate their medical equipment, which could be walkers, wheelchairs, shower chairs, that kind of thing. And Bridge will rehab them, and then we store them and have them available for anyone that needs them. So, the last thing that I want to talk about tonight is the fact that we are going to be hosting an intern from the University of Washington graduate program in Health Services Administration. And Jay and I will essentially be preceptoring an intern student in the MHA program at the University of Washington. And so we're creating a project for them. They'll be with us for a couple of months. And we were specifically asked to participate this year because of our, proximity to the University of Washington, but also the fact that we're a rural hospital and they were kind of searching out a rural environment. So we'll be starting that mid-year, and perhaps they'll come and introduce themselves at a board meeting. So
We already have a close affiliation with you, Doug, on the pharmacy program, don't we?
We do. We take third, fourth, and fifth year pharmacy students from actually 5 universities, including the University of Washington, close affiliation with Bellevue College as well, and Lake Washington. So we affiliate with probably 10 or 12 universities in their training program. And we, as a small hospital, of course, are limited to the number of people that we can take, but I think we all have a responsibility to participate in the education of the next generation of healthcare providers. Okay. That's my report.
Thank you. Thank you, Brother. Well, you're going to be getting a little bit of information from Puget Western. We discussed that in the committee. There's a very detailed discussion. I'm trying to get more information on the Finance Committee report to the public as well as other commissioners ahead of time. and we did that this time. So I want to pat myself and Gary on the shoulder. We did.
And Steve.
Led by Steve, of course.
Yeah. Steve really made an effort.
It's usually me that slows things down. Anyway, we did have a cash flow issue, and that not at all caused by the district again. It's another one of these Medicare issues where we were not paid $1.4 million. A small hospital like that is very detrimental and can cause extremely difficult cash flow issues, paying vendors and whatnot. We were able to get a request accelerated payment, $600,000. The remainder will be paid tomorrow.
Probably next couple of weeks.
So it's been delayed.
Tomorrow was apparently,
I was going to say it can't be tomorrow because I know it'll be delayed.
we got about half of it today.
Okay, all right. So anyway, that was one of the big issues when Steve comes and talks to us. It's always a cash flow issue. We've got all these outstanding balances sitting there, and accounts receivable, and most of it's not caused by us. So the December financial results were about even with me, 7,000. We had revenue below, but the expenses were at the plan. So we've worked on that a little bit in the last 7 months of the year. The first 5 months we lost 650,000. The last 7 months we made 400,000 by the adjustments that staff and the administration have put together. So if we continue this, we should be fine. But again, that's $250,000 loss for the year. I think it's actually 281,000. And hopefully we'll continue to be at or break even until we get into the new hospital. So good job coming back from in the ninth inning on that.
Could I make just one comment on that? The preliminary year-end profit or loss is an estimate only. We won't know the final until the cost report's finished at the end of May. So
that's right. We might get credited
or we may
a couple $100,000 or something. So we might, or maybe lose a couple $100,000. So I don't think it'd be that either way that much more on either side. We're either going to break even or we're going to lose $500,000 in between there somewhere. So that's probably a logical guess based on my experience, and we're getting better and better at predicting how much cost report is every year. So there's a feasibility study that's coming out probably next week, I would imagine, at the end of the week, I'm hoping, by Ida Bailey, that will predict whether we'll be able to issue bonds or not. We suspect we will be able to based on the study. The revenue bonds that we're issuing are revenue bonds backed by operations only, not by taxes. I keep reiterating that to the public to make sure that they know that they're not going to be increased taxes to the public. I think there's a lot of misconceptions sometimes if you don't understand that. So, and it's our job to let people know and make sure people understand that. Let's see here. The ultimate approval, of course, will be with the commissioners and the board. So that will be sometime within 30 days, I would imagine, somewhere 45 days. We'll probably have it at the next meeting, some kind of preliminary report. I'm hoping in some discussion at least. I had some questions because I always have these questions in my mind at the finance meeting about, if we go into this new hospital, why are we going to increase in revenue? And I really grilled, I think, Dr. Whitcoff, Tom, and Roger, and Jay, and Steve. We spent quite a bit of discussion, and I put that in there because it's important to understand some of the things that we're basing this new hospital moving in and being successful. The ER trips, which will inevitably put forth more volume in other types of ancillary services in the district, in the hospital. And I think the logical thing, everybody said in the meeting, is that, okay, you're going to go past a brand new hospital to go to Issaquah, Swedish. Is that what you're really going to do when you have a fully staffed ER within whatever? And are you going to go 2 miles or are you going to go 10 miles? I think there's got to be some increase. They're predicting a minimum of 50% of these trips that go by there will be going to our hospital.
Can I add
So,
this?
yeah, you can.
Just because we're talking emergency room and from the medical committee, there's been a real effort to advertise locally what we have to offer in our ER. And Tom has made an effort to make sure that it's at the local theater. And we had an increase in visits by 10% higher the last month after about a month of advertising. So we're trying to get the word out that there is a service available to the public locally. They just don't tend to think about. So we have seen some improvements, and I think that's a good thing.
And, you know, through the years.
That's advertised at the local theater.
Yeah, do you know you can put up on it, this is correct, Tom? You can go to a theater and lots of times they have a couple of advertisements on the, before the movie.
Slides are being projected on the screen.
Yeah, on the big screen.
There's an idea for us, though, and maybe we could get an in for return from the University of Washington or somewhere to do it. Let's do a movie about the new hospital. We'll tour through it and the whole bit. You know, just maybe 5-minute movie. And
I didn't want to take him too much off track. I just wanted to fill that part in.
And to go with that ER increase, for years I've worked at the fireworks stand for the Kiwanis, and the Snoqualmie Fire Department always has to check us out and make sure we're within regulation. So they're there at least 2 or 3 times a day, and I always have to talk to these EMTs and ask them about what do you know about the hospital up there? And I don't tell them who I am. And you know, for years they were saying, well, I don't know, I don't really go there, I don't bring people there and all that. And in the last couple of years, though, it's been a little different response. They still don't know who I am, because they don't remember me year to year. And I think that you're going to see, one of the things that they did comment to me when I was asking the fire department people is, well, I'm going to have a place to sit down at a computer and relax. I don't have any places there now. There's nothing for us. We either drop somebody off or we don't, and then we're gone. We fill out our paperwork somewhere else. And maybe he was exaggerating, maybe it wasn't, but that's a sentiment in many years in the past that will now be changed as a result of the new hospital. So I can't see anything but a positive increase in ER visits for that reason. And I'm going to continue to monitor the fire department people at the fireworks stands. But anyway, I just thought I'd throw that in there. If there's any other question, I think everything else is explanatory. Do you have anything else to add there?
No.
Questions of the board?
How do you suggest we change those attitudes on the first responders?
Well, I think our whole staff is pretty much straightforward with that. Do a stellar job the way we have been. Have everything staffed according to what people need and want. And, you know, if you build it, they will come. I guess I've always been that sense, if you do a great job and you're there, and why would they bypass you to do another 8 miles down the road?
If they've been doing it for years. But
They have been.
one problem they've got is if they get off at exit 25 with that backed up truck traffic, a fire truck cannot get by. A aid car cannot get by. And I think that's something we're going to talk about in the facilities committee, but we discussed it every time at our facilities committee meeting.
I never have that problem on that one, unless it's rush hour, I don't go near it on
Yeah,
rush hour.
rush hour.
But it's only an hour a day, twice a day, so the rest of the hours, I go through there and bam, 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 in and out.
The problem is that the 16-wheelers, they have to use the right lane, and so because of the turn, and therefore a fire truck cannot use that. They cannot move over.
Okay. Any other questions from board?
Are you going to discuss the easements?
I think that Jay is, and then I guess when he comments, lays it out, I can comment at that time. I've got good comment, and Gene, you and I talked earlier this week about it, but you know, feel free after he gets
All right,
the.
that's going to be part of Jay's presentation.
It's
What is the resolution? Okay.
Medical Committee.
Yeah, the Medical Committee met on January 20th, 2015. A couple of things that stand out, and I think this is available for anybody that's interested on the table. I think some of the health benefits exchange office is now functioning out of from the medical office building on hospital campus through the end of February. So we still have another month of that that's available to the public. May 6th has been identified as the target for us to move into the new hospital. That's kind of iffy, but I think we're there. It's close. Grant opening for the house, this too came up, but also came up in medical. It was April. Exact dates will be defined as we get closer to final things happening. So it's kind of still good, but April, middle of April is what they're talking about. Census. The day of January 20th, the census was 22. That's pretty high and pretty amazing for us to be that high. And it's continued in the last month, wouldn't you say, Tom? Last couple months? Actually, since you've been advertising, and since we've also both advertised, huh? Yeah, and I think it's both the advertising, making the public more aware of it, and also that it's easier for people to get in. The admissions has become a lot simpler. So both those things, we're starting to see the benefits of those. ED visits, 10% higher. Ida Bailey has confirmed our expectations. So far, they think that with the new hospital, ED volumes and other basic services will increase. So that's what we're being told right now. That Ida Bailey is Ida Bailey. So imaging. The imaging department passed their Department of Health Radiation Safety survey this last month. And we're launching an outpatient dietitian consultation appointments so that outpatients, if they need help with their diets due to illnesses or whatever's going on with them, that they can now get that. And also meaningful use for eligible clinic providers is in use. And current community enrollment in the Affordable Care Act, or Affordable Access. I get those two mixed up. Affordable access in the current in the community is 270, and the current employee enrollment is 275. So that's the end of my report.
Question.
Yes.
Do you know how many acute beds versus swing beds are being filled or we're filling during the month?
I don't have that separated out in here. I have the average daily.
For December?
No, he's talking about, are you talking about December?
When we're talking about our census, I think it'd be useful to know how many of those are acute patients and how many are swing beds.
Share a guess, Tom.
Because for one thing, the revenue is much different.
Yeah.
Average daily census of acute is about 1.
So swing bed is really what we.
Just one. All right. Okay. And then down here, I don't know whether we're going to discuss this elsewhere, but it says state auditors report received today clean without finding. I guess what they said was not a finding, but they did. It wasn't totally clean.
Their words were it was clean. It was just a procedure recommendation.
Okay.
Which was to do a deposit cash flow balancing every week, and they said balancing every week.
And there was one little thing about our pocket money.
Oh, yes, no loose cash.
You got it.
That's the balancing of cash.
Yeah, the cash that we have, it's $100 or 150 or whatever.
Yeah.
Anything we get a day is supposed to be deposited that day, but because we only sometimes get $10,
It actually did, it was deposited every day, it just wasn't reconciled.
Oh.
Reconciled every week. So, okay, we'll reconcile it every week. Just keep your.
I have another just question. You know, we ask questions of the staff when they're state house. Does that get picked up on the mic so that it's on the, most of the time it does, sometimes it's a little low.
We held a meeting on January the 19th, as I mentioned last time. By the time we get here to the next month's board meeting, this is almost obsolete because things are moving so quickly. Here, we had a fine report by Kim Grafton and Roger, Tom Parker, Scott Mohavic, and Jay. And that's all been captured in the minutes. I won't go over each item, just to say that the progress is remarkable. A couple of things were left out of the minutes that I think should be raised because they were in the committee. And that is, we need to start thinking about, and I'm not sure this facilities committee matter, but I think it's a board matter that should be considered, and that is who's going to be our speaker at the dedication. Okay. And I think the board should decide that.
That has already been undertaken, and we'll be happy to know.
Very good.
Chris, President Young, I'd like to interject. So we invited Mary Selecki to come back.
Yeah.
Since she gave the speech at the groundbreaking. I think that'd be a good way to close the loop and have her come back and say some words at the grand opening. We're also going to invite the governor, see if he might want to come.
And I mentioned either our two senators, Taylor and Mary Campbell, because they've been, it's amazing what they've done on behalf of critical access hospitals and rural hospitals. So even an invitation, a courteous invitation would be good, and let them remember that we're out here.
That's a great idea.
Even if they don't come. Okay, great. That's excellent. Only I worry about Mary is Mary Selecki, former director of the
Secretary of Health.
Secretary of Health. She comes over from Eastern Washington, and I presume we put her up lodging and pay her transportation and pay her a speaker's fee because she's no longer with the state. And I just worry about the cost.
I think the date we talked about, I think she's going to be over here anyways, and she really, we don't put her up. She just basically asks for mileage reimbursement. So, no, we don't pay her anything as far. We just reimburse her mileage.
I know that she does speak for speaker fees, so I'm glad that she's not charging us. That's good. Great. A couple other things. The dedicatory plaque cannot be done overnight, and it's something that the district is going to, that is the board, should approve in terms of design and content. Now, perhaps when we have on the minutes here signage planning, maybe Roger is going to talk about that under signage planning. I don't know, but would you like to add something there, Roger?
Actually, we will include the sign submittal for permit next month when we go over the entire hospital.
Well, I'm thinking of
what I've
a brass dedicatory plaque.
What I would suggest is have the board create the wording on that. We can certainly do that, but I'd like to have your input on what goes on.
That's very good.
I think we should include Val's name on that.
Oh, we certainly value her.
Okay.
Okay, And then once again, that issue about the right lane off exit 25 is a real concern. Now, it's stated in J. Rodney's report here, section report, it says here that an egress-only easement is involved with this proposal we're going to hear tonight.
But that, I think, that's the Imagine Housing easement that we have to push off to March because we're still negotiating the language. So the easement before you tonight is only the East Campus easement involving Puget Western.
Okay, because that's not only egress, but it's utility and other easements.
Right.
Okay, I just want to clarify that. Now, it says that one of the compensations we're going to get is the ability to place a sign on the high visibility corner of 99th and the Parkway.
Again, that's the Imagine Housing easement that we're still negotiating that. That's for next month.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's not part of this.
No, not part of this. No.
Good. That's good. So that concludes the Facilities Committee report. Are there any questions?
So, but I'd like to bring something. Has anybody here seen the webpage recently?
Yes.
New webpage?
Yes.
Yes, it has new colors, it has a new
New
presentation, new branding, and I noticed it today and thought that was pretty cool. So if you haven't, and if the public hasn't, I would suggest you do that.
So it was on that yesterday. I need to see something.
They showed
Yes.
us the new branding that we saw in the signs.
Has some red or
Oh, okay. Well,
fuchsia color.
do some more exploring there.
Okay. Moving forward, we're up for public comment. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Is there any public comment?
Hello, my name is Andy Corbett. I am a North Bend resident and an employee at the hospital. I have become sort of an unintentional spokesperson for the local homeless shelter. They have done a pretty great job operating on donations for the past 2 winters. And this winter, they're having trouble finding a home. The local cities put regulations on and want things to happen that actually church could just say, turns out this is how we worship our God, and we're doing this in our church. But to appease the local cities, they are going through permitting processes that take a very long time, and they have to shut their doors on Sunday. And I would just like the hospital district to do what it can to help the homeless shelter. Very regularly, I hear people say things about homeless people that if they were said about any other group of people, be it their religion, their race, their age, their anything, would be completely offensive. I just would like to ask the hospital district to do what it can to influence the local view of what homeless is. In any group of people in this room, there's people who are nice and there's people who are not nice. There's people who are more trustworthy than others. In every group, there's going to be people like that. And to judge it by a characteristic like whether that person gets to sleep indoors is very troubling. So that is all I have to say.
Just a quick question. Do we do an outreach on the affordable care signups with some of the homeless folks?
Teresa?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Teresa.
Oh, yeah.
She got to know a lot from that.
Oh, yeah. She works with us regularly and she does a lot. She goes to the shelter.
How many folks were turned out?
I believe they house about 20 people a night at an average. They also do meals and allow people to come in and have a meal and then leave between 8:30 and 9:30. Come in for a meal and then leave. But it's all subject to the local church and neighborhood, and we try to work with the local law enforcement as close as possible.
What do you suggest the hospital district might do to be supportive?
Specifically, there are lots of options. I mean, we own the property on the campgrounds, the old campgrounds. We have buildings there that aren't being used. I bet we could get them to help us paint them. And this is where they're just looking for a short-term spot right now, because they believe that I can't think of which church it is, but it's right over here. It's
yeah, no, they're currently at the Lutheran Church. They're coming to.
have been, but
they have already arrived at the Methodist Church, and they were there last night. And
Jennifer said she spoke with you. Yes, that was one of the reasons I came. I think you met Jennifer.
I was there. Yes,
she's the director of the shelter,
and they're feeding about 40 a night at the Methodist Church. So really,
is that every night though?
That's intended to be every night.
Great. I believe they want to house the shelter that are having trouble getting permits. So such. Okay, and I believe they're just having trouble getting. They started a little late in the permitting process. They thought that things were going to be right.
I appreciate your making us all aware of its status. Thank you very much.
Have you contacted the local groups, the Warners, Lions?
Jennifer has spoken with the Warners group. She's the director of the shelter. And yeah, many churches have been very helpful with donations and such. Some of them's congregations just don't want to house that because of the neighborhood or because the group that runs the congregations for the homeless doesn't want strings attached. It can't be, you can come in and have a meal if you listen to this sermon. You can come in and have a meal. If you want to listen to a sermon, well, we do that on these days at this time. But it's not subject to, you have to be part of our religion for us to help you. It has to be separate in their minds.
You know, Andy, we go to church up in Everett, and downtown Everett, actually. And they have had the same similar problems, even for the churches to do it. The churches get slack from the businesses nearby. One church was told absolutely you could not give out any more food. So it's not just, it's no comment, it is everywhere.
I know, the reason that I went to the first meeting was because it was a block from my house, and I listened to the questions and I listened to the problems, and they had good answers to the questions, and the congregations for the homeless has been doing this for 30 years in Bellevue, and in the past 2.5 years there was a pastor of the Lutheran Church. His daycare for his children was only a block or so away from where the shelter was, and the person was the kindergarten proprietors were saying that this is going to open, and he was like, "Well, actually, it's been open for 4 months, and this is going to happen when it opens." And no, it's already been open for 4 months, and so it really has gone almost unnoticed, and that's the problem. Is that these people go unnoticed, and they're part of our community. Many of them grew up here, and I just think it's an important part. It's a part that I want to see in my community.
I don't know what we as a board can do, but we certainly can talk amongst ourselves and talk to each other and see if there's any way that we can be supported.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Any other public comment?
Jim Simons from Balmy. Speaking of the website, I'm wondering if there's an update on the content of the website, particularly about finance data.
I think most of the data is the same, just some colors have been changed on it. I don't know. Finances, Steve, or finances going up any different than before?
You should be there, I have not checked.
Jim, was this finance report up there early before the meeting?
No.
I believe, David, we have a policy, which I'm not know off the top of my head. We publish it after a certain amount of days. I can bring that policy and it's ready to put out.
Let's look at it and see if we need to. Ryan and I are going to be getting together. There's going to be some changes in the bylaws, and we'll take a look at that first, and then instead of wasting your time, Steve, we'll come up with some changes, see if then we'll talk with you.
Okay. We'll look at it in finance and maybe discuss it.
Is it possible to backload 2014?
I imagine that they're all there for 2014, right?
No. I think there's only 2 months, like June and July, and sort of. They're all there.
Yeah, we have.
Watch it on.
On the papers from this meeting on there, all the stuff they had happened was on there.
Certainly the financial statements.
Any other public comment?
Charles Peters, thanks for calling me. I didn't plan on talking tonight. I always have a citizen. Because I put on my council hat tonight. Andy worked really hard for the homeless shelter, and I want to make sure that they understand that a year ago, they were going to try to use Friends Youth. It's actually across the street from my home. And the neighborhood, and I didn't go, I listened, but I didn't speak. It was, it didn't go over well to start with. The building wasn't like how the building was used, etc. And it went through a hearing examiner because of the zoning in the area. And it didn't work, and he ruled against it. Then I talked to the, I think it's David something, who was the age staff for the people afterward, because I really might come to Methodist Church. I said, you've got zoning issues. That's what you're hearing examiner because of the zoning. The church just can't say you can come in. So he said, well, he didn't like that. We brought about it. And they decided after you paid to it, it was too late, and they didn't apply for the church last year. Early this year, I understood that they might be looking at this church again here. So I sent word to that group. Again, you got to get it in early. You got to have a hearing examiner come in and look at it because of the zoning in this area. It's a traditional use permit you have to get. They didn't do it. The last minute, all of a sudden, they come in and they had a hearing. It's the same. It was supposed to be here, but it went up at the fire station. I understand that the people showed up in the neighborhood and checked to it. They asked several questions. Questions were answered. The neighbors were satisfied. The hearing examiner has 15 days to make a ruling. They were encouraged to do it sooner. That's up to the hearing examiner. Jay can tell you that. They're going to, he's going to go with the sheet. We'll rule when they're ready. Now, I've gotten several emails today because the email I didn't like very well was sent out encouraging the citizens to email the mayor and the council. And kind of first on the but you know, as part of being on the state in your position is like I am. You take it, you understand it, you move on. He's wanted to clarify to the board. That's why it's been delayed, because they didn't start soon enough. There's no objection in the neighborhood. The city didn't object, but we have to go through the proper procedures. And that procedure will be done in the next few days. I'm sorry that they decided not to take my advice to help people's place and start the process much earlier. That's all.
I don't know anything about that part of it, but when the hearing examiner makes a decision on if it's in the affirmative, then does that go back to the city then?
Only if someone appeals it.
I mean, if the hearing examiner allows to move forward, does that go back to the city?
Only if somebody comes to the city and appeals that person, the hearing examiner approval, then the council will look at it.
If there's no appeal, then there's no issue appeals. Okay, thank you.
Any other public comment? Any other public comments?
Madam Chair, before we leave this topic more or less, I think that the medical committee might want to look at what we can do with respect to this group is made for some time across the street here. Not only in terms of their own health, but also as carriers. And it might be to the benefit of the community if we interface with them on these health issues. Not only is it a humane thing to consider, but it might be very practical, especially with issues like measles and other communicable diseases that could be carried by people that are not vaccinated.
I think that the staff has on a number of occasions gone into the areas where there are homeless to try and assess the situation and see what issues they're facing and if they need some health care provided.
You might want to think of that in the future too, then, especially when they're.
It's an ongoing thought process. Okay. All right, new business. Resolution number 473-0225, county easement to Puget Western regarding East Campus. Jay?
Sure. So we kind of talked about it a little bit before, but this resolution would approve an easement that the district would grant to Puget Western. And we have been negotiating this with Puget Western, and I'll orient everyone here in just a second. But we've been having negotiations with Puget Western now for about a year on this. And we don't have a schematic available, but if in your packets on page, well, it's Exhibit D to the egress utility easement. It's about 5 pages from the back. So go to the back, last page, and go about 4 or 5 pages. It says Exhibit D to egress utility easement and maintenance agreement. That gives you a sketch. But our East Campus is 22 acres, and all around that East Campus parcel is property owned by Puget Western. Puget Western has their zoning allows for 1 home per 5 acres. So they've done some clearing with the intent of marketing their property to potential home builders. The southern, it's the southern parcel that does not have access other than through our driveway. So they've asked for that easement to access our driveway to the East Campus to then develop that southern parcel, which I think they plan on turning into 4 home sites. So an easement is a grant of real property, so it has to be approved by resolution according to statute. What Puget Western has agreed to give us in return is approximately $28,000 to reimburse the district for some clearing that we did on the East Campus to make the East Campus a little more habitable for our staff that are housed there. Puget Western has also agreed to enter into a maintenance agreement whereby they will reimburse us for the cost of maintaining our driveway, and it's basically on a kind of a per vehicle best estimate assessment of the. So that's how we're going to break down the maintenance agreement or the maintenance cost. It's going to be proration based on the best estimate of our vehicle usage. While it's currently vacant, there's not going to be a lot of vehicle usage for Puget Western. However, if they start construction on that property, they will have to restore the easement to the condition that it's currently in prior to the commencement of construction. And so I think that's significant. Also, if their use of land changes, if it's ever upzoned to commercial or business use or a higher level of use than residential, then they have to come back and renegotiate this maintenance agreement to provide for additional compensation to us for that increased level of use. So pending any questions, we'd be happy to answer any questions.
Now, if they're helping maintain it, why would they have to do additional, I mean, if there's additional use, it'd be additional maintenance, which would be automatic, I would think.
Well, there's, you know, with construction, it's just not your normal wear and tear. It's potentially heavy equipment that could damage asphalt, things of that nature.
I understand.
Yeah, and so we
Kind
just,
of getting off good. Actually, if the hospital district gets this and gets money for it, they're doing good, because we have an easement by our house, and we don't profit by it at all.
you should have hired me.
Well, you weren't around then, but anyway. No, yeah, but I just wanted to know why more money or why more changes.
Yeah, just we want to take into account the potential that, you know, also this applies to utilities. So if they have to tear the road up,
Then they
so they have to restore it to its pre-construction state. So, yeah.
If they tear the road up to install utilities, will it be on the side of the road so that we still have access?
Right, yeah, their easement doesn't include the full driveway. If you look at that sketch, so look at the sketch, then it's the, it's a portion of the driveway. It's that, yeah.
It's the front part, but it's still, we have to tear up our road for an extended period of time.
We would have access, we would maintain access to a portion of our driveway. Yeah.
I'm still a little bit confused about this, the timber reimbursement, because that occurred in 2013. And how does this connect with future plans?
So Puget Western came to us, and that's when they cleared all of their property.
Their property.
And at that time, they said, well, you know, if you have any clearing that you'd like us to, you know, since we've got the equipment out here, we can help, you know, if you have any clearing you'd like to do, let us know. And then, you know, we can worry about the reimbursement later. And then once we started talking to Eastman, we just said, well, instead of us paying you back for that clearing that he did for us, that would be that would be one aspect of our compensation for granting the easement.
But we already paid for that, did we not?
Yes, and so we're getting the money that we would get, right, that we get back from Puget Western will go into our operating budget.
General fund?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I just, you know, there it says that they would impact your property and so forth, but isn't this a potentially potential liability on the value of our property? It could lower the value of our property.
Oh, it would increase the value of property, not lower. Anytime they have an easement, usually it increases.
Well,
Or at regress and egress.
This is an easement for Puget Western, not for us.
Yeah, but you have a road now that's being maintained. That means you have access to all property.
Let me ask you, Jay, isn't it possible that by granting this easement, which is going to apply to lessors, lessees, as well as future purchasers? I mean, this is a permanent thing in perpetuity.
It is until either party would want to cancel it.
Well, do we have the right to cancel?
We can always negotiate the termination of the easement. That's possible. But so as to your question, though, would this impair? I don't think so.
Impact the value of our property.
I don't think so for a couple reasons. First, we already that property to the south of our east campus, which is inaccessible currently. I think it's always been contemplated that there would have to be a egress ingress easement to access those parcels. Also, depending on what the use is on those parcels, whenever the value of adjacent land improves, that also improves your own value. So I think that it would enhance the value of our property, quite honestly. The fact that we've gotten a maintenance agreement protects us. There's also an indemnity provision in there that protects us from any liability caused by Puget Western or their use of the property. So I think we're
protected if the construction equipment tears it up, if they got to go in there and fix it. However, resolution reads is that the maintenance cost will be based on traffic.
Correct. Right.
And so I'm concerned that one maintenance, let's say one front loader is going to be different from one automobile.
Right.
If you're only counting traffic, that's not.
That's why we put in there the provision that if there's ever any construction, so we make a distinction just between regular vehicle usage and then if PJ Western does any construction that materially changes the use of that easement to a higher level of usage. That is in paragraph 3.
Yeah. And this business best estimate of the amount of traffic. Let's see, what paragraph is that?
Paragraph 3, that's the 4th line of paragraph 3 of the exhibit. It's exhibit C, paragraph 3. That talks about the best estimate of actual vehicle use. And then we go down further in that paragraph and talk about if construction is commenced by PWI, then they have to restore the site, the easement area to its pre-construction site. And paragraph 4 also applies.
Excessive use, yeah.
Right.
It's just that, it's going to have to be a cooperative effort here because it's based on the parties.
Right.
Best estimate of the amount of traffic.
Well, it depends on what you're doing.
It lends itself to, lawsuits.
Wait. If it's houses, it's 10 trips a day. That's what the ITE manual says for, if your houses, if they end up with houses, and that's what, 5 houses on 20 acres, then you're going to have 10 trips per house. Daily. That's what they figure.
So that would be 5 houses, that would be 50 trips.
Yeah, and usually a lot of families aren't anywhere near that.
Yeah,
that's what they use.
I'm more concerned about the period that could be lengthy in the construction, the installing utilities, and all that than I am about the residents.
They have to restore to pre-construction conditions. Yes. The other thing, Gene, just to let you know, I think this is a good clause for the district that somehow the use of the East Campus increases and we have to get a light there. Guess what? They have to pay part of that too.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's right there in paragraph 5.
Yeah.
It's a pretty solid. I went through that a few times. I don't think I'd recommend. I'm very suspect looking at things, but this is a pretty solid agreement for, I think, is written by the district for the district.
Yeah.
Now, they haven't mentioned the word water, have they? And will they do their own well?
Yeah, we'll do the own wells.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is really the only access possibility that exists for that parcel, is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, they could come down the back way, but that would be really.
But off the parkway,
right.
This is the only possibility. Right. And that's why we said in the facilities committee, it's going to happen. It's not going to happen for them to be able to use this property. At the same time, then I got a resolution, and it did raise some issues. So I'm glad that they're addressing. Yeah, that's what.
Motion to pass resolution number 473-0215, any easement to future Western regarding East Temple.
Make that motion.
Second.
Commissioner Paul.
Okay. All right, any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, approval of warrant payroll taxes for 2014.
I make that motion.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion. Dr. Whitcott, physician credentialing.
On January 26th, the medical executive committee met And we had several new business items. So we had one new position for initial credentialing. That's Dr. Diana Bardo, radiologist. And again, all of these folks that were presenting tonight were reviewed in detail, and there was no issues identified, so they are all recommended approval. We had 3 that were due for re-credentialing on the courtesy staff. This Dr. Ben Lucis, Dr. David Bork, and Dr. Jermaine Johnson. We have 1 re-credentialing of an active staff member. That's Dr. Noel Johnson, one of our hospitalists. And then we have 2 affiliate staff members that were due for re-credentialing. That's Dr. Brian Duvall and Teresa Whitberg, physician assistant. So again, no issues identified at all, and all recommended for approval.
Motion to approve the physician credentialing.
I make that motion.
I'll second it. Been moved to seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none. Okay. We're now up for a second executive session under RCW 42-40.30.110. Parentheses C, the Board of Commissioners of the Constable District Number 4, King County is authorized to hold an executive session during a regular or special meeting to consider the minimum price at which real estate will be offered for sale or lease for public knowledge regarding such consideration, cause, and likelihood of decreased price of the final action of selling or leasing public property shall be taken in a meeting open to the public. Pursuant to this authority, the board will now go into executive session to discuss a real estate matter. No final action will be taken during executive session. It's anticipated this executive session will last no longer than 1 hour. Yeah.
Do we sign that now? Don't have anything around?
Yes. Thank you when I was here.
Yeah, it's I really like the 10%. We come down and say really we're about so that was really fascinating. Sure. Yeah, she said that was the last meeting because I had been there several times. We've had people in bigger or those people type of that those kinds of things. Yes. One short bird. It's like that's the reason I didn't want that. Yeah, convert it. Yeah, yeah. Council member.
Good see you. Good see you.
How to do it.
Yeah. And then, so that's
There's a couple of them. It's first
I know those guys. Still doing it, huh? Oh, yeah. It's not about, you have to have a whole library of tapes.
Yeah,
For things.
I do.
I'm sure there's some good ones.
The early ones I transferred over to DVD. And just selecting that. The rest is good to have.
Anybody else need to sign? No? Go on.
Thanks, Bob. All right, I'll see you. Yep. Thank you.